guess who I have today? Do you care to share some puppy wisdom? I guess that's a no. Hey guys, what is up? It's your girl Maddie back again today with a video that is a little different. I've been thinking a lot about birthdays because my birthday is actually in the fall, and I realized that a lot of us artists kind of don't know what to ask for. Have you ever had it happen when someone asks you, so what do you want for your birthday? Or a certain time comes when you want to build a wish list? Well, I just realized that I'm actually having a very difficult time forming a wish list, so I wanted to help you with this video. So this is actually some different things that you could add to your wish list, artist version. Most of these are going to feature things that I know and personally love, and then there's some few things I haven't tried yet, but I've heard are pretty cool. So let's just get right into it. So the first thing, obviously for artists, when you're drawing, you have to draw on something. Your art has to go somewhere, right? You need a sketchbook. Now, there are so many sketchbooks out there, but here are a few of my personal favorites that if you haven't tried yet, I would highly recommend. First off is going to be the Strathmore Toned Tan. This is really only perfect for colored pencil drawing, so if you're not really into that, I wouldn't necessarily recommend you get it unless you just like to sketch on toned paper. Now, if you just want a regular sketchbook, get this sketchbook by Strathmore. They just make plain sketchbooks. Really, any sketchbook by Strathmore is fantastic. I know they have a toned gray one. Haven't tried that out yet, but I would definitely recommend that. The next sketchbook I would recommend is the Canson. They make many different ones. There are some with a lot thicker paper that are really good for markers, but sometimes they will still bleed through, so I would recommend putting a piece of paper under there. Rookie mistake. Canson also makes watercolor paper, which brings me to the next topic if you're into watercolor. So obviously you're going to need your watercolor paper. I would recommend getting some pretty heavy paper. Before you buy any, you need to look at the weight of it, by how much watercolor you use, to just kind of figure out what kind of paper weight works for you. They do also make a very small little Canson watercolor spiral bound sort of sketchbook. You wouldn't want to sketch in it, but you can just keep all of your drawings there in one little spiral bound watercolor sketchbook, which is really neat. I would also recommend looking into that. Next, you're going to want some watercolor, obviously. If you haven't been into watercolor for very long, I would recommend starting out with I think it's Mei Lang. I believe it's Mei Lang. It's got a picture of a parrot on it. I'll put a little picture up here. It is absolutely fantastic. I haven't even used half of it yet, and I have gone and made just a ton of paintings already. It's lasted me over a year. The brush it comes with, absolutely fantastic. Although you can buy other brushes, that's another thing you might want to look into getting, just some little watercolor brushes. Don't get the watercolor by Crayola. I know it's cheaper, but the quality of this, just the vivid colors just makes the painting, and this paint palette definitely has that. If you are looking to get into acrylic painting, I would recommend looking at the Apple and Barrel for beginners, even for pros. I see a lot of pros using Apple and Barrel. It just dries really fast, it's super tough, and it sticks to almost any surface except like slick plasticky surfaces, so don't paint on those. But other than that, it really is a fantastic acrylic paint to start with. A cheaper brand would be Chalkola, which sounds a lot like Crayola, but it's not. It's Chalkola. They sell in a lot of varieties. The only downside is that the tubes are very small and they're a lot thicker than Apple and Barrel paint, so they're a little bit harder to paint with. I tend to water my Chalkola paints down with a little bit of white Apple and Barrel paint, which just makes it a little bit easier to apply to the paper. Now, as far as canvases, I really don't think you can go wrong with any canvas. Pretty much everyone, even the ones you find at Dollar Tree, are fantastic, so don't worry too much. Just look it up. Just look up some different size canvases. Next up, markers. Now, there are so many different markers out there. I would recommend alcohol-based. Most of the markers you can find on, say, Amazon are alcohol-based, so you don't really have to worry about that. You can usually read it in the description very easily. You can see they dry really fast. They're fantastic. They usually blend pretty well. It also just depends on the brand, so probably my top recommendation for alcohol markers would be Ohuhu. Now, there is also another company, Copic Marker, that makes very expensive markers that are what the pros use. Now, I have been using markers for several years now, and I have about 80 or so Copic markers, but they are very expensive, and I think my favorite thing with the Ohuhu markers is they just tend to be a little more juicy. The brush tips are a little bit more, are a little bit stiffer. Just when I paint with the Copic markers, the ink doesn't come out as fast. It's harder to blend, and the ends, the brush nibs are very, very bendable, so it's hard to get the detail you're looking for, and it just kind of is awkward for me. So I'd recommend going with Ohuhu if you're first starting out. Plus, they're just so cheap. I mean, a pack of 120 of them, I believe, is around 80 bucks, and that does still seem like a fair amount, but trust me, when you're looking at $7 a marker at Michael's for Copic markers, Ohuhu really isn't that bad. Now, if you really want to get some Copic markers, there are so many different branches of that marker. You have the Copic Sketch, you have just some little skin tone sets, you have black and white sets. Usually you're not going to be able to find a very large set of them like you would for the Ohuhu marker. Oh, quit whining! No, I'm trying to make a video. Come here. Come here. Why don't you confess your sorrows to the YouTube? Come here. What is it? Hey. What is it? What's the matter? What is it? Is there anything special you'd like to tell them? Alright, I'll let you down now. Thank you. So as far as marker, I would recommend that you get the Ohuhu brand. There are so many. There's Parku, that's another brand. They're very cheap. They're pretty good. Unfortunately, they do not sell brush tip markers. If you're looking into getting alcohol markers, just get the brush tips. They have just some regular little small hard tips. They're not the same. Now, some artists may prefer them. I do not. If you are a beginner or you just want to get some good markers, just get the brush tip. I think you will be the most happy with that. Now, there are a few things that you might not think of adding to your wish list. Which one would be marker storage? My markers usually just sit in a little bag. However, Amazon does have some really neat little storage racks that are slanted, and you can just stack your little markers in there. So I'd recommend looking into those if you don't have any. They're really, really neat, and I, for one, love to organize everything. They'll just make your life easier, especially if you have a lot of markers. Another really, really neat thing I saw that I really want to get for myself is a little mini vacuum. That's right, they sell little vacuums. They're probably about that big, and they're for your desk. How perfect for all those little eraser turds that get strewn. You know what I'm talking about? Like when you erase a piece of artwork and you just kind of flick them and they get all over your desk. Well, now you can take your little tiny handheld vacuum and just suck them right up. So that is a fantastic thing to get. And you don't have to plug it in to use it. You just plug it in, it charges, and then as the battery is full, all you just have to do is press a little button, suck it up, put it back in your drawer. So that is a really, really great item. I'm probably gonna get that soon. One really quick thing, this is just kind of a personal thing that I've gone, doesn't necessarily have to do with art, but one thing I feel like most people don't tell you would be a cool thing to get would be a projector. Now, I myself watch a fair amount of movies with my family and just in my room. I don't have a TV in my room, but I do have a big blank wall. And last year I got a projector, and you can just look up projectors on Amazon and you can find some pretty decent ones for around $70 to $80. It's not 4K, I think it's about 1080p, but it's pretty good for the price. It's fantastic. As well as all the little trendy thing that you can find, but that doesn't necessarily have to do with art. So I hope this video helped. I know it can be a challenge when you're trying to build a little wish list, especially as an artist, and I hope some of this helped. If you would like me to look into some different little artsy gadgets that you may have never even heard of, let me know, and I might make a part 2 for this, which I think would be fun just to kind of get more into the cool little art gadgets side of Amazon. I do want to say that all of these products I put in the video are on Amazon, so you can create your little Amazon wish list. I hope you have a beautiful day. I love you guys, and I will see you in the next video.